Am I the asshole for letting my husband sleep on the floor this time instead of taking one for the team like I always do, and for threatening divorce if he slept on the bed? Let me start by saying I know how this sounds. I know. It sounds dramatic. Petty even. Like I'm just being some unreasonable sleep-deprived wife with a vendetta against a man who can't help that his sinuses sound like Satan himself is blowing a tuba in his throat. But I swear to you, this has been going on for years, and I have always been the one to compromise. At home, we don't even share a bedroom anymore. And that was something I had to fight tooth and nail for, by the way. When I first brought it up, gently, sweetly, calmly, he acted like I'd just confessed to having an affair with his brother. But I couldn't take it anymore. His snoring is not just loud, it's inhuman. It's like someone is dragging furniture across the ceiling while growling. It shakes the walls. I've had glasses rattle. I've had pets run out of the room in horror. I wear noise-canceling earphones every night, even though he's 2 doors down now. When we go to his family's house, though, there's only one guest room, one bed, one shared space. So I suck it up. Every time. I start the night trying to lie in bed next to him like a normal married couple. And without fail, I'm bolting up at 1 a.m. with my eye twitching, my soul leaving my body, because of the monster groaning next to me like he's trying to summon ancient gods through his nostrils. And then I, the only person trying to fix the situation, take a pillow, take a blanket, and curl up on the floor like a dog. Or worse, on the tiny couch in their freezing cold sunroom. And what happens in the morning? Does he acknowledge my sacrifice? Thank me for once again being the one to give up comfort and rest, so that he can pretend to be normal around his parents? No. He stretches, yawns, scratches himself like a caveman, and acts confused when I'm irritable. Why didn't you just sleep next to me, he says. I didn't even hear anything. Of course you didn't, Chad. You were snoring so hard it knocked you out like anesthesia. So this time, before we left, I laid down the law. I said, listen, I am not doing this again. I will not be the one who sleeps on the floor while you snore your nose into another dimension. This time you promised me. You said your snoring was better. He swore it had improved. Spoiler, it hasn't. I said, okay, then you'll stay up later than me. Give me a head start. Let me fall asleep first, then sneak in. He said yes. He even pinky promised, like we were in middle school again, and got all offended when I said we should bring an air mattress just in case. Oh, so you just assume I'm going to ruin things again, he said with that pouty boy look. You always expect the worst of me. Cue the manipulative guilt trip. I didn't even get angry. I just stood there and blinked. Because yes, I do assume you'll ruin it, Chad. Because you always do. Fast forward to tonight. We get to his family's place. Everything's nice. I'm cautiously hopeful. I'm not even bringing it up. I'm just sipping my tea and watching some show with his sister. Then around midnight, this man who swore on everything short of the moon itself, suddenly yawns and goes, "Wow, I'm so sleepy. Think I'm gonna turn in." Excuse me? I don't even care that his whole family was sitting in the living room. I got up, grabbed him by the sleeve like a furious mom in a grocery store, and dragged him to the hallway. Are you out of your mind? I hissed. You promised me. You literally promised you'd stay up, so I could get to sleep first. He laughed. Oh yeah, babe, but like, it's whatever. I'm tired. Don't worry, I promise I won't snore. I lost it. I said, if you go to bed now and I walk into that room in 20 minutes and you're snoring on my mother's life, I swear to God, I'm not even arguing with you. I'm not even throwing a pillow. I'll pack my bag, get a hotel, and you'll be served with divorce papers before brunch. His whole vibe changed. Instantly. That smug, whatever babe swagger, gone. He turned ghost white like he just remembered I actually can and will follow through. He started begging. Baby, please don't be like that. I'm sorry. I just didn't think. I didn't mean to break my promise. I'm just so tired. Please don't do anything rash. I can't help the snoring. You know I can't help it. I stared him down. Cold. You can't help the snoring, I said. Fine. But you can help lying to me. You can help disrespecting me. You can help breaking every single promise and expecting me to just roll over and snuggle up in hell every night, like that's what a good wife does. He kept saying, please, please be reasonable. So I said, being reasonable is what got me to this point. Being reasonable is what made me sleep on the floor 7 times in a row, so you could sleep like a baby while I suffered like a raccoon in a storm drain. He had nothing to say to that. Just stood there, blinking, realizing for the first time that I was done. I turned on my heel, walked back into the living room, and very politely told his mom that I'd be taking the bed tonight, and my husband would be sleeping on the floor outside the door with a pillow and a throw blanket. And that's exactly what happened. He didn't fight me. He knew better. He made this big, sulking production of dragging his body out with the pillow and muttering under his breath like a teenage boy grounded for the weekend. He's out there right now grumbling. I can hear it. I don't care. Not this time. I'm finally in a warm bed, under covers, no growling noises beside me, and I will not feel guilty for finally choosing sleep over stupid, manipulative peacekeeping. But his mom just came up to me with this very tight, pursed smile and said something like, I hope everything's all right between you two, dear. He just seems very upset. You know how men are. So now I'm wondering, am I the asshole? For finally letting him sleep on the floor? For putting my foot down? For not being the bigger person for the 8th damn time? Because according to him, and apparently now his mother, I should have just waited it out again. But I'm sick of waiting. So, the morning after I finally claimed the bed for myself like a war widow laying roses on a grave, I woke up feeling like a goddess. First time I've had more than 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep during one of these visits. I actually had dreams. Full dreams. Lucid, cinematic, Oscar-worthy dreams. I woke up refreshed. Reborn. I stretched. Smiled. Took a leisurely shower. For the first time in years, I didn't look like a sleep-deprived zombie wife barely functioning through morning coffee and quiet resentment. Meanwhile, my husband looked like he got hit by a freight train. He was lying on the living room carpet, surrounded by pillows like a defeated frat boy after a bender. Puffy eyes, stiff neck, grumpy expression like he had been wronged. He kept coughing and doing these dramatic groans while I walked past sipping my tea. I didn't say a word, just smiled and asked his mother if she had any honey for my tea. He didn't talk to me until we got into the car that afternoon to run an errand. Then, in a voice smaller than I've ever heard from him, he said, You really weren't kidding about being done, huh? I looked at him. No smile. No softness. Just quiet. Then I said, You knew I was done years ago. You just didn't think I'd stop accommodating you. Silence. He stared straight ahead and nodded like someone who just found the last chapter of the book they didn't want to finish. Then he whispered, I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I knew it bothered you, but... And there it was. The moment. The moment that every woman who's ever been forced to carry the quiet burdens of a marriage waits for. The moment the man finally hears himself. Finally believes you. I laid it out. I told him, You have refused to go see a doctor. For years. Every time I brought up the idea of sleep apnea, you waved it off. You made me feel like I was exaggerating. But Chad, your snoring isn't cute or normal. It's a medical hazard. It sounds like you're dying and coming back to life every 5 minutes. I begged you to take it seriously. He said nothing, just nodded. So I pushed it. You need a CPAP machine, not a nap, not another promise, not one more. I swear it's better this time. You need to go see a sleep specialist, because this isn't sustainable. You've gotten to pretend this problem doesn't exist because it doesn't affect your sleep. But now that you had to sleep on a floor once, suddenly it's a crisis. Well, welcome to my world. More silence. I could tell something finally clicked for him. Maybe it was the edge in my voice. Maybe it was the night on the floor. Or maybe it was just me not fighting anymore, because sometimes it's scarier when the person you love stops yelling and starts packing. Anyway, 2 days after we got back home, guess what this man did? He booked a doctor's appointment. He didn't even tell me first, just did it. A week later, he had a sleep study done. And the results? Moderate to severe sleep apnea. Not even borderline. The doctor was horrified he'd been ignoring it this long. They're fitting him for a CPAP next week. He's been weirdly quiet about it. like he's embarrassed. I'm not celebrating or rubbing it in. Honestly, I feel kind of heartbroken that it took this much to be taken seriously. But there's also a part of me that feels validated. Like, finally, someone said, yes, you were right to be this exhausted. So, we're still together. And he's really trying now. He apologized properly, not the half-assed kind where they say sorry you feel that way, but a real one. He told me he sees now how much I've been carrying just to make him comfortable. He said he's ashamed he dismissed me so many times. And you know what? That was all I needed. Not perfection, not magic fixes, just effort. Just finally seeing me as a person who deserves rest and peace too. Top comments. You/sleepless in Oregon. NTA. My husband was exactly like yours. Denied the snoring. Said I was being dramatic. Refused a sleep study. I finally recorded him with my phone and played it back in front of his mother. Skull he was diagnosed with sleep apnea and now uses a CPAP. Changed everything. We share a bed again. Sleep-deprived wives deserve peace too. You/mom of 3 and done. You were beyond patient. People don't realize how damaging sleep deprivation is. And the mental toll of not being believed? Ugh. Good on you for standing your ground. Marriage isn't about one person sleeping like royalty while the other becomes a resentful, hollow shell of a human. You/BigKazib42. This was my mom's exact situation growing up. She slept on the couch for years until she snapped. Dad finally got a CPAP, and it was like living with a new person. Snoring is not a joke. Sleep apnea can kill people. You/burned out wifey. I felt this line. Being reasonable is what got me to this point. Preach. You're not the asshole. You're the MVP. You/wife life realness. My husband and I went through this, and now we each have our own room. People think it means the marriage is bad, but nope, we're happier. Sleep is love. Love is sleep. Grinning face with sweat. Thanks to everyone who commented, shared stories, and made me feel seen. I know Reddit can be brutal sometimes, but this made me feel so much less alone. Also, if you're reading this and thinking, oh wow, my snoring isn't that bad, I suggest you ask your partner how many nights of sleep they've lost and what it's done to their mental health. Because if my husband had just listened to me the first 50 times I asked him to go see a doctor, we could have saved years of quiet suffering. Anyway, he's getting the CPAP. I'm getting my sleep. We're getting better. ZZZ Red Heart.